Ortho comes from the Greek word meaning to make straight. So anything with ortho in it has some sort of straightening. Orthotics is the skill that is making your body straight. My name's Melville Dixon. I am an orthotist in the hospital. I lead the paediatric orthotics service, and we provide all of the orthoses to all of the kids in Glasgow. When we fit these for the first time, the child will stand for the first time in their life, and that might be at the age of 3 or 4 or maybe 5. And I never fail to be overwhelmed by the family's response to that, because it's not just about how physically that's benefiting the child, it's also the social part, it's the development of that family's journey together. They're not just sitting in a wheelchair all day, they can now stand, and that's something that they might otherwise not have achieved. So that to me is one of the best parts of my job. One of the reasons it's so important that a child wears the orthosis that's prescribed to them is to prevent that deformity as much as possible. That orthosis will slow down that rate of change. It might prevent any further deformity or change for the worse, or it might just hold off when surgery can be performed. Some come for the first splint, they can be various different ages, but generally they're coming at quite a young age, maybe 2, 3, 4. So they don't always have the understanding at that time, but that's actually a good thing, because they see the benefit without any of society's impressions put upon it. They put it on and they walk with it. One of the most common conditions that we treat is cerebral palsy. It's trauma, it's damage to the infant brain that will affect the way that they walk. Quite often leg splints are so important because it helps them to function better, it helps them to function with less pain, with less discomfort, and also prevents that deformity as they grow.
Before my operation I would never be able to kick a ball, and now I'm able to do it. I'm Nathan, I was born in 2006 and I'm 9 years old. Cerebral palsy is like, I don't fully know, but is it getting like drags into your leg, and it's like a wee mini operation to be honest, but it isn't as big. It's like helping your legs, getting a big stretch out. I had my Achilles tendon done because that would make my leg turn in even further, and I was really upset at the time because I just didn't want to see my leg go in, because I want to have my leg straight and I want to be able to walk more, but I couldn't walk more because I couldn't walk at all. I would just be falling on my face if I was walking myself. All I did was crawl, and I wasn't happy. Since the operation, my legs were really straight now, and it makes me so much happier.
Can you tell me, how does your splint help you?
Well, without it I can't walk. I can't go in my walker or anything because I struggle. I struggle to put pressure down on my legs when I do it. It's just really painful. I have to sit down. I have to help get my dad to do all sorts of things for me, but it's comfortable when I have them off.
What do you like about your splint?
I have to choose the designs. I like that. That's cool.
Do you like the design you've got?
Yeah. It's cartoons because couldn't fit a real picture in. But it's good getting to choose the design.
What do you want to be when you're older?
A WWE superstar.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like racing.
My name is Nadine and Nathan is my son. He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy probably about 6-7 months when he wasn't reaching his milestones. He's unable to stand unaided. He's just an ordinary child in our eyes that has to wear splints and use a walker. There's no difference. Disability has such a tag on it. All the equipment that children with disabilities have make them look disabled, and you want to try and install that, yeah, they might have like an extra challenge, but they're the same as any other child, as any other person. It's been really difficult. When he was younger, he didn't want to wear them. He was in a lot of pain because obviously his legs were being forced down. It hurts him. As he's got older and he starts to understand why he's got to wear them, it's a lot easier now. I think Nathan feels as though he's got more balance by wearing them, more support, and when he's not got them on, he feels as though he can't do it and his feet go back up again. He is going to have to wear them probably for the rest of his life. We want Nathan to be as independent as possible because it's a big bad world out there and you can't wrap them up in cotton wool all the time. To see Nathan walk for the first time nearly broke my heart. I was so happy. I was so proud. I never ever thought that I would see that day. I thought he was going to be wheelchair bound.
How did it feel being able to walk for the first time?
Nerve-wracking, but also really good. I felt really pleased with myself, really proud, and so did my mum and dad. They were really happy.
What is it you want to do when you're older?
Walk better by myself and make more progress as I'm going along like I am just now.
I was five or six when I got my first splint. Relearning to walk was the most difficult thing. I know what it's like to sit in a wheelchair and people to talk down to you, and it's the worst feeling in the world because you're not stupid. Your feet might not work, but your brain certainly does. I can go about my day and be the person that I want to be because of it. I love and hate my splint. I love it because I can stand up and be counted as one of my peers. But I hate it because it's bulky, it's horrible, it looks a Frankenstein part of me. I don't like it. I fight with myself on a daily basis to put it on. Mum and Dad basically said to me, look, either be in a wheelchair full time or being able to walk. So it was a constant fighting battle. I still need to wear my splint because I'm walking the outside border of my foot. I need to wear it for at least 10 hours a day, mostly when I'm out at uni or out shopping or that kind of thing. It's really painful wearing a splint because your foot and your whole body is trying to fight against it. In that sense, there's two parts of me. There's one that goes, you need to wear it, and there's the other part that goes, I'd rather wear fancy shoes. I hide it because I don't want people to see it and to make me feel any different. I wish I could wear high heels. At the moment I can only wear boots. I push trainers if I can take the sole out of them. It's because there's a 3.5 kind of wedge on the splint. It's not just important for me to stay active, but it's important for me to stay upright, to be able to walk, to keep that mobility going for as long as possible. Swimming really helped. I was swimming at the age of 7 and being in the water made me feel free. I was free of everything and I could do it without any help whatsoever. I thank Mum and Dad every day for what they did for me. My family was so important because they made me wear my splint. Even though I took tantrums, even though I didn't want to wear my splint, Mum and Dad made me wear it because they knew that I could stand up, that I could speak to people, that I could be able to go out in the world and find my own place. And that's what I love about my Mum and Dad. And I love the fact that they did that for me because they could have wrapped me up in cotton wool, but they didn't. So I'm very grateful for that.
My name is Vicky. I'm Bethany's mum. The day that Bethany had a stroke is very vivid in my mind. It was a lovely day and we were getting organised to go out, and my son, who was 6 months old, was in his cot. He was in and she was talking to him and putting her hands through the bars of the cot to play with his toys to keep him amused, and she suddenly slumped and her hand was trapped in the cot and she screamed and she was screaming and I knew straight away that something was seriously wrong. She couldn't move her right side. Her mouth was twisted and she couldn't talk. So straight away I knew something major had happened. To see your child having a stroke is really distressing. It's a right-sided weakness which manifested itself in an inability to walk, to have core strength, to sit, to have any function in her right hand, to talk. I was determined that she needed to do two things in her life. She needed to walk and she needed to be able to read. As far as her splints are concerned, that was a difficult journey. Her splint was really vital to her being able to walk and to be on her feet, to prevent deformities and to prevent her being in a wheelchair full time, which is crucial. That piece of plastic was really key to her rehabilitation. She cannot walk without her splint outside, so she knew that she had to somehow find a way, which meant lots of additional appointments for adjustments, lots of time away from school, having to catch up. That's a huge commitment for a child, for any child. She would write letters to Santa asking if she could walk the way that she used to be able to walk, because she had an acquired disability, so always in her mind she remembered that she could do the things that she now found really difficult. So to see a child's letter begging Santa not to be able to wear a splint and to be able to walk without it was devastating. Bethany was diagnosed with clinical depression at the age of 5, which isn't uncommon for people that have strokes, but certainly children at that age don't often have strokes, so that was a real challenge as well. So all of this didn't happen one thing after another. All of this is all encompassing, it's all happening at once, and it can swamp the best of people, and it swamped us from time to time. But you can't give up. Looking after Bethany meant I wanted to be the best version of myself I could be, to represent her in the best way that I could, to stand in front of her and to protect her, and then to stand beside her while she went out into the world to do what she wanted to do, and now to stand behind her, to be proud. I blamed myself. I thought maybe I hadn't protected her the way I should have done. Perhaps I wasn't as careful as perhaps I could have been. I racked my brain trying to think of ways that could have been prevented. But unfortunately, no one knows the reason why she had a stroke. I think the orthotics are some of the unsung heroes of the NHS. No one knows what they do. It's a vital service. Bethany, because of this tiny piece of plastic at the average cost of £70 per splint, gives her her independence. She certainly wouldn't be able to be the strong, independent person that she is today if it wasn't for that piece of cleverly engineered plastic.
From start to finish, the patient will be assessed, and we decide that they need an AFO, an ankle foot orthosis. That process starts with taking the shape from the patient. Having taken that shape, let's say it was a cast, that cast is then filled and a mould created. That mould is then adapted and adjusted. It is moulded in plastic generally, or foam, sometimes metal and leather can be used as well. Once it's adjusted and smoothed, the trimline design is put on by the orthotist. That's then all smoothed off so it's nice and smooth, and then it will be fitted to the patient by the clinician, and at that point it will be fine-tuned. Once you add the footwear and get the patient walking in it, you can finalise those little bits, and that should allow for a comfortable fit.
One of the main things that keeps me going is the ability to be able to ride my horse, to go down and be able to do the things I used to do. It makes me feel like I'm still the same. The horse riding, definitely, it sets me free, keeps me normal, keeps me active. So physically it's very good for me. My name is Georgie Bedworth. I was born in Scotland. I emigrated to Africa, came back 7 years ago. When I turned 35, I started feeling pain in my feet, intense pain in my feet. Eventually I was diagnosed with a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disease. It affects the collagen in my body. I'll have pain in my feet because my bones don't stay as stable as everybody else's because the scaffolding is literally stretchy and loose. Ehlers-Danlos affects my life from day to day. It affects me in everywhere, in every part of my life. Mentally, it can be really hard going because you end up being immobile. One day you can wake up and generally you'll feel okay, but if you walk too much or you do too much that night, you'll be completely crippled and not be able to even get up and go to the toilet. There's some days and weeks where I'm completely immobile and the other way around. So it changes from day to day because of the nature of the condition. Once you get the orthotics, it can be a bit clunky and they can be a bit ugly. But once you get the help and the support of everything you need to do to enable you to live your life, things get better. This is some of the tools and orthotics and things that I use just to stop myself from getting injured and to keep me mobile. The orthotics that I wear inside my boots, it lifts the instep for me. This piece here stops my toes from hurting at the base. So that just keeps my feet all together and keeps them aligned so that when I wear an ankle brace, it stays straight up. So it starts from my feet, it can go up to my ankle, and then I wear material ones generally on my legs to just keep me aligned. These are the gorgeous shoes. Somebody take a look and make some better shoes, please. They're the ugliest. They go with nothing. So, yeah. But they're all very comfortable and they all help very much and they keep me active in doing what I've got to do. I had severe depression, especially in the beginning when I didn't know what was wrong with me and I wasn't sleeping. The pain cycle was horrendous. I wasn't able to do anything, let alone go horse riding. But I looked normal to a lot of people. That's one of the worst things about Ehlers-Danlos, is that nobody can see it. I was in a very black, dark place for a very, very long time. I was just stuck in a cycle of pain and feeling sorry for myself. There was a stage when I was really physically bad. I thought I would never ride again. And it took me quite a while after my diagnosis to build up physically to get to the stage where I could go riding again. That's when we came up here and we had a ride on the Clydesdales. My perception of disabilities has changed because I understand what it feels like now to not be able to do everything that you can do without help or support of medical supports or other people or medication. There's people out there that have got a lot wrong with them and that aren't able to do the things that most people can do, and just have a little bit of understanding.
With a physical disability, everyone you meet always judges you immediately because they will look at you and think, oh, she needs help. Right now, it's kind of who I am. I'm a paracyclist because I've got cerebral palsy. I just like to do the best I can with what I've got, and right now my focus is cycling. My name's Hannah Dines and I'm 22 and I've got what's called cerebral palsy. I've learnt to walk about 3 times in my life. I've had a series of surgeries, which meant that they put me back to square one. So I had my first time to learn to walk when I was 8 years old, and then the second time was when I was 13, and the third time was when I was 15. I have had splints all my life. Walking without splints is easier in terms of like you can fit loads of different shoes, but walking with splints gives you a lot more mileage. Like I get a lot less pain with my splints than I do without. As a child with cerebral palsy, you're innately programmed not to move because it's so hard to move. So as a baby, like every baby's lazy, they're just like, no, I don't want to move. So she really had to push me, and she has pushed me up until I was like an adult. I have to say I've got a really privileged life because of my parents and the way they've helped me through my disability, and that is vital. In secondary school, I hid them completely. I wore second socks over the top, which looked ridiculous and were way too hot. But you don't want to show that you're different at like that age of adolescence, do you? It's funny about me, I grew up obviously just learning to walk, and I was a big couch potato up until I was 19, so that's the second year of university. I absolutely did no exercise if I could help it. I absolutely hated sport and I wouldn't watch the Paralympics because I thought that there was nobody with the same disability as me. The sports that are filmed are ones of the more able athletes, so the runners, and I can't run, so I was like, what's the point? Now here I am as a paracyclist for the British team. So sport has taken me miles away from where I was as a 19-year-old. Do sport, any sport, every sport. I love cycling, kind of the same way that I loved taking my first steps aged 8. Trikes are much more unstable than 2 wheels, and it's kind of weird. The Paralympics decided to put the most wobbly people on the most wobbly machines. I think because we don't have a sense of balance originally, we don't know what we've lost. My life would be drastically different if I didn't have my splints. Essentially, I would be much, much more disabled. In fact, I don't think I'd be able to walk. We see this again and again, children who actually choose a wheelchair instead of splints and a K-walker, they stay in that wheelchair. You can't actually move out of your disability classification. My splints have enabled me just to, I guess, do anything that my able-bodied friends can do. I mean, within reason, I still fall over on a night out, but it's the fact that I was able to stand up with people with my splints. It gives you the same form of independence.
I can go about my day and be the person that I want to be because of it.
Once you get the help and support of everything you need to do, to enable you to live your life, things get better.
Is dangerously strong and powerful. Splints are really important. Don't give up on them.
Just keep trying your hardest and never give up, which I never did.